As aviation geeks, whenever you hear a plane overhead, you probably open FlightRadar to see what it is. But what if you could be the person that's providing that data, tracking the planes in real time from your own home? With just a Raspberry Pi and a PiAware receiver, you can do exactly that, and today I'm going to show you how. So to build your receiver, you're going to need one of these USB ADS-B receivers, an SD card, and a Raspberry Pi. I recommend a Raspberry Pi with built-in Wi-Fi on board. This means you don't have to plug in Ethernet or use a Wi-Fi adapter. The Pi 02W is a great choice because it's compact and it's quite cheap compared to its larger counterparts. You should also consider a case for the Pi to protect it from any damage. I 3D printed this one, I found the file online, but any case will be better than none. Okay, so for our Raspberry Pi to actually be able to use FlightAware to send data, we're going to need to format a SD card for it to use. Now, if you don't already, you're going to need to install the Raspberry Pi Imager software. This can be found on the Raspberry Pi website. I'll leave links to everything in the description. And you're going to choose which Pi you have. So for me, I've got a 1, and you can press next. When it asks you to choose the operating system, you're going to scroll all the way down to use a custom image from your computer, and then it's going to bring up your downloads where you will need to select it. Now, if you come to the FlightAware PiAware build site, I'll leave the link in the description, you need to install this top link here, which will download the image to your computer. So once you've downloaded the zip file, you need to extract this, so then you have the zip and the normal folder. Inside the folder, you'll see the image file itself, as well as some setup guides and info. What I do is I copy the image across to my documents, and then once it's in documents, you can go back into the imaging software, go into documents and select the image. So now we've selected the image, we can press next, and it's going to ask you to select your storage device. So make sure you've got your SD card in. For me, it's this one here, and press next. Now remember, whenever you write an image to an SD card, it's going to wipe everything on that SD card. So make sure everything you need or want is off the SD card before you do this. Once you've done this, you can press write. It will remind you again that it will remove everything. You can press I understand, and it's going to start the writing process, which might take a little while. So just wait and have a cup of tea whilst you watch it complete. Okay, once it's finished writing and verifying, you can press finish, and then after that it will eject the SD card for you, so you can remove it like so. And then the next step is to put the SD card straight back in, because we need to edit some files on it for configuring your receiver. So once you put the SD card back in, you're going to see all of the files that it is installed onto the drive called bootfs. You're going to scroll down until you see piawareconfig.txt. You're going to open that, and then this is essentially where we can configure all of the instructions that the receiver is going to use. So for example, if you're using Ethernet, you can leave wide network as yes. If you're going to use Wi-Fi, you can use wireless network and leave that as yes. You'll just need to come down here and put your Wi-Fi network name into here and your Wi-Fi network password here. Once you've done that, that is all we needed to do here. So you can close that and you can eject the SD card. Now we are ready to turn on the receiver and start configuring it on there. Once you plug in your Pi, it's going to show you this screen. The first time you do it, it may restart the Pi a few times and show you the screen more than once. But once it starts showing you this text at the bottom of all the services it's running, that means it's starting the boot, and you should soon get onto the landing page for the PiAware system. So once all those services are finished running, you'll be loaded into this screen. This is the PiAware landing page, so it shows you all of your system information and whether it's working or not. So at the moment it's showing that my wired network is down and I haven't configured a wireless network. If you remember earlier when we edited that text file, I didn't configure a wireless network, but I did leave Ethernet. So in a second it should detect my Ethernet and it should get a network connection. You can see where it says PiAware feeder is normal. That means that PiAware is running normally, and if it's green, that's good. That means it's working as it should be. The 1090 receiver is the USB receiver that you've plugged in. It might take a second for it to detect this, so don't worry if it says error straight away, just give it a minute to configure itself. Okay, once you've left it to configure itself for a bit, you'll see that you have an IP address next to your network. All of the services are also normal, except from the multilat. You'll need to leave that a bit to configure because it needs to calculate where it is, etc. So whilst we wait for the MLAT to configure, you can actually claim this receiver on your FlightAware account so that you can see all of the feeder statistics as well as see its uptime, and it means you get a free enterprise account on FlightAware. So you can either do this by going to the URL where it says associate this site with your account, or you can simply type the IP address into your web browser and that will take you to your PiAware info page. So I have done this. I've typed the IP address into Google Chrome and it has brought up this FlightAware status page. So this is a easier way than logging into your Pi every time. You can see the status of your radio, the PiAware system itself, as well as whether you're connected to the FlightAware. Once MLAT's enabled, it will also be green. So what you need to do is simply just press where it says claim this feeder, and it may ask you to log into FlightAware. I was already logged in, so it's just done it for me. So once you have claimed it, you can come up to where it says my ADSB, you can press stats, and this will open your ADSB stats page. So you can see all of the time that your feeder has been up. These black and white boxes are where no data was received or the system was down. And then the darker the blue, the more aircraft was seen. So you can go through this page and see all the statistics for your feeder. It's quite interesting. There's leaderboards, you can compare it to people nearby, and you can see where you are globally for all of the feeders that are going on in the world. But then the really cool thing is if you press this PiAware Skyware here, that will open this page. And if you zoom out, I don't know why it doesn't just default to where you actually are, you can see all of the aircraft that your feeder is currently tracking. Now, a key thing you need to do if you want MLAT to work is go into the settings here on your page and enter the receiver location. So you can go onto any website that gives you your exact coordinates and you can just enter them into this here. You should also get some emails around this time saying thank you for claiming your feeder, etc. And eventually you should become an enterprise user where you get all the benefits of being a FlightAware enterprise user. But the main reason why we're doing this is so that we get that FlightRadar24 contributor account, which is worth £400 a year, and you'll be getting it for free. Okay, so for this bit, you'll either need to SSH into your Pi, which is something I am not going to explain right now, but you can look into it if you want, or you can simply just plug a keyboard into your Pi. So what you need to do is press Alt F2 to log into your Pi, and the default username is going to be Pi, and the password is going to be FlightAware. Just note that when you type a password into the command line, it's not actually going to show you the password as you type, so don't worry that it's not appearing. Once you've typed it, press enter, it's going to log you in, and then we can start installing the FlightRadar24 service so that we can start feeding to that as well. So once you see this green Pi at PiAware, that means it is ready to go. So we're going to put in this command. I'll leave this in the description so you can just copy and paste it, or if you're using a keyboard like me, you are unfortunately just going to type it in, but it is wget space -q capital O -https /fr24.com/install.sh sudo bash -s. Once you've typed that in, press enter, and it's going to run the FlightRadar24 install service. This might take a little while, so just let it run. Once the script's run, which might take a long time, but once it's done, you need to enter your email address, and then your sharing key is very important. If you've had a feeder on this site before, then you want to get your sharing key from the FlightRadar dashboard. Make sure you don't share this with anyone because it means that they can send data to your account and you don't want that to happen. If this is your first time setting up a feeder, then you can just press return and ignore this step. Then it's going to ask you if you want to participate in MLAT calculations, say yes and press enter. Now autoconfig, this will do all the complicated stuff for you, so you should just say yes to this. And then after that, you're all done. So it'll enable and restart the feed for you. And if you press Alt F1, you can go back to your landing page. And just like that, you've set up your feeder. You're now sending data to FlightAware and to FlightRadar24. And after a couple of hours, you should have both of the subscriptions and you should have data being sent. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if it's helped you in any way, please do like and subscribe. I hope you get lots of data with your feeder and enjoy your subscriptions. Thanks for watching.